showed up. But then when they saw Anthony's parents there, they owned Dobbin's Dry Cleaning, and most of the old white people in town forget they're black, things settled down a bit. Ours is one of those semi-southern towns where the blacks live in a small enclave in the bad part of town called the Elms, and the whites live everywhere else. There were a handful of people like the elder Dobbins and Anthony and his wife, Garrett Douglas, who owns the Chrysler dealership, and Dr. Earl Jeffries, a retired professor from OU who live in the white part of town. But that's tolerated because they're rich, or in Anthony's case because his parents are rich. Lately, since the new subdivision opened up, regular black folk have been moving out of the Elms into the rest of town. Mostly this has been ignored, but I do hear stirrings at the barber shop among the old men who hang out there every day. And Gladys tells me there's some concern among the elderly ladies of the Long Branch Ladies' Garden Club. Change is a hard thing for some people. It wasn't until the outbreak of World War II that the city council decided to take down the signs next to the city limits signs that read, "No Negroes in Town After Dark." And that was only because an army battalion was bivouacked here and some of the soldiers were African American and, unfortunately to the townspeople, were going to be there after dark by order of Uncle Sam. But the wedding went off like clockwork, except for one small incident, when Jasmine's ex-husband, Lester Bodine, showed up drunk and had to be escorted physically back to his car, where I got his new girlfriend to drive him home. It went smooth as glass. The food was good. The beer was cold, and the Baptists watched while everybody else danced, mostly to country and western music being spun by a punky-looking disc jockey named Flash. The new police chief, Charlie Smith, had gotten his newest recruit to hold down the fort downtown while everybody came to the wedding, and since we're a smaller outfit and I didn't have any new recruits, I took a little money out of our coffers and hired a retired highway patrol officer who had moved to Prophecy County about 6 months before to keep an eye on the county shop. He'd rented a small space on the square in downtown Long Branch where he worked part-time as a mediator. We were at the point when I, as best man, was about to give my toast to the new couple when something happened. Like most small to medium-sized towns in Tornado Alley, Long Branch is set up with a siren system that blares loud enough to wake up the whole town and half of those perpetually resting in the city cemetery when a tornado is coming. We'd been lucky. We haven't used the dang thing for almost 2 years. But just as I opened my mouth to give my toast, it went off. And even up there on Mountain Falls Road, we could hear it. Everybody stopped what they were doing and stared toward town. Then, most people, including me, looked up in the sky. There wasn't a cloud in sight. Me, Emmett, and Charlie Smith looked at each other. Then all three ran for our cars. Most of the law enforcement personnel, including the bride, who first ran inside to get out of her wedding dress, headed for their cars. I told Jean to keep everybody else there until we found out what was going on. I know that was putting a lot on my wife, but she's a psychiatrist, and I figured she could reason with him. Downtown Long Branch was a ghost town. I drove my Jeep in, Emmett sitting shotgun, Jasmine in back. We all had our service revolvers, and Jasmine was loading the shotgun in the back seat. Guess you could say she was really riding shotgun. A little humor, folks. No people roamed the sidewalks, no cars except ours drove the streets. All the stores were locked up tight. Still, the sirens split the air. It was damn spooky. We went first to the volunteer fire department building, on top of which the siren screeched its bad news. The place was empty. Most of the volunteers were members of the sheriff's department, the police force, and local store owners. They were all either behind me and Emmett or back at my house. We went into the switch room where the turn-on for the siren was located. Billy Johansson, the 21-year-old recruit Charlie Smith hired straight out of the academy in Oklahoma City a couple of months ago, was half lying in a pool of blood on the floor of the switch room. His back and head were propped against the wall, his long skinny legs out in front of him. His head lolled and blood seeped